A woman has been charged and arrested with trying to defraud Elvis Presley's family in an illegal scheme to try to sell the singer's Memphis, Tennessee estate, Graceland. Lisa Finley is accused of orchestrating the plan to conduct the sale of Graceland. Prosecutors allege that she's
the king of rock and roll's cherished sanctuary, which attracts hundreds of thousands of visitors annually, was allegedly targeted for fraudulent sale. But the real twist is, who dared to attempt this audacious heist on history itself, and how did it all come to know? An unbelievable controversy overtook Elvis Presley's famed Graceland house, and the FBI was brought in to investigate. The plot sounds like anything out of a Hollywood crime movie. This is the complex web of lies, legal wrangling, and mystery that we will attempt to untangle in the coming minutes. Graceland is more than just a huge mansion. It's a cultural icon that people always think of when they think of Elvis Presley's life and influence. The estate, which was bought in 1957 for $102,500, was the symbol of Elvis's meteoric rise from a struggling childhood in Tupelo, Mississippi, to world fame. Graceland is a beautiful 13.8-acre estate in Memphis, Tennessee. It became one of the most famous homes in the world very quick. Elvis didn't just see Graceland as a house, it was his personal destination, a spot where he could get away from the stresses of fame and get in touch with his roots. He kept his family, friends, and co-workers entertained here, often throwing big parties with lots of music and fun. Along with being a place for Elvis to write and practice songs that would become classic, the mansion became a place where he could be artistic. The extravagant decor, custom-made furniture, and themed rooms like the Jungle Room at his home show off his larger-than-life personality and unique style. Graceland has a lot of emotional value in addition to its beauty. It's where Elvis made special moments with his daughter Lisa Marie Presley, and fans still feel very connected to his life there. Graceland is no longer just a private home. It is now a museum and a place where millions of fans from all over the world go to honor Elvis. Over 500,000 people visit the house every year, making it one of the most popular homes in the United States. Graceland has been kept exactly as it was during Elvis's lifetime. It gives a unique look into the private life of one of music's most famous figures and shows how much he affected culture, music, and history. When careful local officials and estate managers noticed fishy things going on with the property's ownership records, the fake sale of Graceland started to fall apart. At the root of the scandal, there was a fake document that was said to give Graceland's ownership from its rightful owners to someone else. Even though this paper was cleverly fake, it had errors that made people very worried right away. Elvis Presley Enterprises, EPE, informally owns Graceland. EPE is in charge of keeping the estate in good shape and running it as a museum and tourist attraction. It didn't make sense that such a big, heavily controlled property could be sold without being properly checked out, which led to more research. Authorities found problems like signatures that didn't match, wrong legal descriptions, and problems with the historical line of ownership. Because of these discrepancies, there were a lot of questions, and land managers took the problem to the local police. Because they were vigilant, the attempted fraud was found before it could do any long-term damage. Because Graceland is a National Historic Landmark, any court challenges or changes in ownership would naturally get a lot of attention. But the forgery was carefully planned, which made it look like it was done on purpose to take advantage of holes in the law and real estate system. As soon as local officials pointed out that the deed was fake, the case was sent to federal investigators. The level of skill needed to pull off the fake and the importance of the property meant that the FBI's help was needed. With their help, a more in-depth investigation began into who was behind the scheme, what their goals were, and how someone could even try such a daring act. This early finding was very important for protecting Graceland's history and making sure that this famous property stays safe for future generations. The gravity of the attempted fraudulent sale of Graceland prompted the involvement of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Known for their expertise in tackling high-profile fraud cases, the FBI approached the matter with precision and urgency. The case required an in-depth probe due to the historical significance of Graceland and the complex methods used in the fraudulent deed submission. The FBI's primary focus was on identifying how the forgery occurred and uncovering the individuals or entities behind. This involved starting with the paper trail, a crucial aspect in cases of property fraud. Investigators meticulously examined the fraudulent deed to understand its creation. They looked at the date, signatures, and official seals, analyzing every detail for clues about its origin. Forensic analysis of the documents played a key role, revealing discrepancies such as inconsistent handwriting and mismatched digital timestamps. Beyond the forged deed itself, the FBI sought to understand the connections between the fraud and Graceland or Elvis Presley Enterprise. This involved scrutinizing the records of anyone who had access to the estate's legal and administrative administrative documents. By mapping out these connections, the investigators aimed to identify whether the fraud was an insider job or the work of external actors exploiting loopholes in property law. The FBI collaborated with cybersecurity experts to track any digital footprints left by the perpetrators. This included identifying the devices used to craft the forgery and tracing the IP addresses associated with suspicious activities. The combination of digital and traditional investigative technique created a comprehensive approach to unraveling the crime. Through their efforts, the FBI not only began piecing together the details of the attempted fraud, but also laid the groundwork for identifying the suspects involved. Their meticulous approach highlighted the seriousness of the crime and set the stage for uncovering those responsible. As the FBI delved deeper into the case, a clearer picture of the potential culprits began to emerge. The investigation revealed a range of individuals who might have orchestrated the fraud. These included disgruntled former employees of Elvis Presley Enterprises who may have had access to sensitive information, and professional real estate con artists known for targeting high-value property. One key group that drew the FBI's attention was a network of fraudsters with a history of exploiting property law loopholes. These individuals had previously engaged in schemes involving forged deeds and falsified ownership claims on high-profile estates. Their methods were alarmingly sophisticated, involving advanced forgery techniques and detailed knowledge of legal processes. By identifying this group, investigators began to narrow their focus on individuals with both the motive and the expertise to target Graceland. What made this case particularly challenging was the level of professionalism displayed by the perpetrator. The fraudulent deed was not a crude attempt, it bore all the hallmarks of a carefully planned operation. Official seals, signatures, and even the chain of ownership records were meticulously falsified to create an illusion of legitimacy. Such precision indicated that the culprits had access to both advanced technological tools and insider knowledge of property transactions. The FBI also investigated possible connections between the suspects and individuals within Graceland's management circle. While no direct evidence of an insider's involvement was initially uncovered, possibility of leaked information or collaboration remained under scrutiny. The investigation's complexity underscored the depth of the conspiracy. By zeroing in on this web of suspects, the FBI aimed to dismantle not just the attempted fraud, but also any broader networks involved in similar schemes. The case represented the vulnerabilities of high-value properties and the lengths to which criminals are willing to go to exploit them. The FBI's investigation into the attempted sale of Graceland uncovered a shocking revelation about the tools and methods used by the perpetrator. This was no crude operation. It involved advanced technology that underscored just how sophisticated modern fraud has become. The fraudsters employed tools capable of mimicking official seals and signatures, making the falsified deeds appear authentic and credible to the untrained eye. The use of editing software allowed the perpetrators to replicate digital signatures, which are often considered a secure method of verification. These digital replicas were almost indistinguishable from legitimate signatures, complicating the detection process. They also manipulated visual elements such as fonts, seals, and stamp to give the impression of a genuine legal document. These techniques were so advanced that even professionals initially struggled to identify the forgeries without conducting a detailed forensic analysis. The technological sophistication extended beyond the documents themselves. Investigators discovered that the fraudsters had exploited gaps in electronic property registry systems. By manipulating databases and leveraging loopholes in digital record keeping, they attempted to create a convincing paper trail that would lend credibility to their claim of ownership. Such manipulation highlights a broader concern about the vulnerabilities of digital systems, especially when dealing with high-value assets. The perpetrators seemed well-versed in real estate law, using their knowledge to exploit legal technicality. This suggests a calculated approach where technology was not just a tool, but a weapon to deceive and defraud. The level of planning and expertise involved demonstrates the evolving nature of fraud, where traditional methods are replaced with high-tech alternatives that are harder to detect and prosecute. So, as technology becomes more integrated into legal and financial systems, it also creates opportunities for criminals to exploit weaknesses. The Graceland case has exposed the need for more robust safeguards in digital record keeping and heightened scrutiny of property transactions to prevent similar incidents in the future. The question that loomed over the Graceland fraud case was simple yet perplexing. Why would anyone attempt to sell such an iconic property knowing its immense cultural and historical significance? The answer, as the FBI uncovered, boiled down to one powerful motivator: money. The fraudulent scheme was fueled by the promise of a massive financial windfall, a payout that could have amounted to tens of millions of dollars had the sale gone through. Graceland is not just a home, it is a global landmark revered by millions. Its association with Elvis Presley elevates its value far beyond its physical dimension. The estate encompassing the mansion, its grounds, and its cultural significance is estimated to be worth a fortune. This immense value made it an irresistible target for those looking to profit illegally. The perpetrators appeared to believe that the complexity of Graceland's ownership and management structure would work in their favor. With Elvis Presley Enterprises overseeing the estate, along with layers of legal protections, they likely assumed they could exploit gaps or delays in the system to push their fraudulent sale through before being caught. It was a gamble rooted in greed and a calculated risk that the estate's caretakers and law enforcement might not catch on until it was too late. The allure of easy money isn't new in cases of fraud, but what sets this case apart is the audacity of the criminals involved. Attempting to sell a property as famous as Graceland was not just about financial gain. It was about exploiting a legacy. The fraudsters saw Graceland not as a cultural treasure, but as a means to enrich themselves, disregarding its importance to Elvis's fans and the broader historical narrative. In high-profile fraud cases, this reason fits with a larger trend. Criminals see the value of cultural sites as less important than their monetary value. Some people will do anything to get money, even if it means destroying a piece of history. The Graceland case is a good example of this. When the news of the attempted fraudulent sale of Graceland broke, the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Fans of Elvis Presley, many of whom see Graceland as a near-sacred site, were outraged by the audacity of the crime. For these admirers, Graceland is more than a historic estate. It's a direct connection to the life and legacy of the king of rock and roll. To tamper with it felt like a personal attack, not just on Elvis's memory, but on the community of fans who continue to cherish his contributions to music and culture. Social media became the epicenter of this outrage. Platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram were flooded with posts from fans expressing their disbelief and anger. Hashtags like #SaveGraceland and #JusticeForElvis began trending as people around the globe joined the conversation. Many fans called for strict legal action against those responsible, emphasizing the need to protect Graceland and other cultural landmarks from similar threats in the future. Beyond the digital realm, fan clubs and Elvis Presley tribute groups mobilized, organizing petitions and public discussions to raise awareness about the incident. Their collective voice highlighted the importance of safeguarding such iconic properties, not only for the sake of history, but also as a tribute to the man who touched millions of lives with his music. The attempted fraud also reignited conversations about the emotional and cultural significance of Graceland. For many, it represents not just Elvis's success, but also the era of rock and roll that defined a generation. The idea that someone could try to exploit such a revered landmark for personal gain sparked deep concern, with many fans questioning how such an attempt was even possible. Their shared outrage served as a powerful reminder of the profound impact Elvis continues to have decades after his passing. As the FBI's investigation into the fraudulent sale of Graceland progressed, the case quickly gained significant media attention. The suspects, whose identities were initially withheld to maintain the integrity of the investigation, faced serious charges. These included forgery, fraud, conspiracy, and the attempted theft of cultural property, a crime that carries heavy penalties due to the historical importance of Graceland. The legal proceedings became a high-profile affair, with coverage spanning major news networks and online publications. Each new detail uncovered by the authorities was analyzed and reported, keeping the public, and especially Elvis's fans, closely engaged. The revelations about the scheme's sophistication shocked many. The forged documents and elaborate plans underscored just how carefully the crime had been orchestrated, raising questions about potential gaps in property protection law. Elvis Presley Enterprises, EPE, the legal custodian of Graceland, played an active role in the legal battle. Their team of attorneys worked alongside federal authorities, ensuring that all evidence against the perpetrators was thoroughly documented and presented. Beyond seeking justice, EPE's legal efforts aimed to protect Graceland's ownership and prevent similar incidents in the future. As the case opened, prosecutors built a robust argument against the suspects, citing not only the forged deed but also the broader implications of their action. Attempting to sell such a globally significant property fraudulently was framed not just as a financial crime, but as an assault on cultural heritage. This perspective resonated deeply with both the legal system and the public, amplifying the stakes of the trial. Ultimately, the legal proceedings underscored the importance of vigilance in protecting historical landmarks. While the case against the suspects moved forward, it also spurred conversations about strengthening laws and systems to prevent such audacious attempts in the future, ensuring the legacy of icons like Elvis Presley remains remains untarnished, strengthening protections for historical sites. The attempted fraudulent sale of Graceland has ignited a critical conversation about how historical and cultural landmarks are protected. As one of the most iconic estates in the United States, Graceland's near victimization by sophisticated criminals highlights vulnerabilities in the legal and security framework governing such property. Experts have emphasized that stronger regulations and oversight are necessary to ensure that high-value landmarks remain safeguarded against similar fraudulent activity. One of the primary concerns is the susceptibility of property ownership documentation to forgery. Fraudsters exploited loopholes in the system, demonstrating how even culturally significant sites can become targeted. To address this, experts suggest implementing secure blockchain-based digital deed registry. Such systems would make it significantly harder for unauthorized individuals to falsify ownership documents or transfer property illegitimately. Another critical measure being discussed is the introduction of specialized oversight agencies tasked with monitoring high-value or historically significant properties. These agencies would be responsible for conducting routine audits of ownership records, ensuring their accuracy, and flagging irregularities before they escalate into fraud attempts. Strengthening penalties for real estate fraud, particularly when it involves cultural or historical landmarks, is also on the table. Harsher legal consequences could deter criminals from targeting these properties. Public awareness campaigns and educational initiatives are equally vital. These programs could inform property managers, custodians, and stakeholders about the latest fraud tactics and how to recognize them. In the case of Graceland, greater community involvement could serve as an additional layer of vigilance against fraudulent schemes. Despite the unsettling revelations surrounding the attempted sale, Graceland remains steadfast in its mission to celebrate Elvis Presley's life and legacy. The estate continues to welcome thousands of visitors every year, providing an intimate glimpse into the personal and professional life of the King of Rock and Roll. The incident, while alarming, has only strengthened the resolve of Graceland's management to protect its historical significance. In response to the attempted fraud, Graceland's management team has pledged to introduce enhanced security measures. These improvements are expected to focus on both physical security and the integrity of ownership documentation. Advanced surveillance systems, stricter access controls, and digital record keeping are likely to be implemented to prevent any future fraudulent activity. The incident has also prompted closer collaboration with law enforcement and legal experts. Graceland's legal team is actively working on refining the estate's ownership documentation processes, ensuring that every detail is meticulously verified and stored securely. This collaboration not only safeguards Graceland, but sets a precedent for how other cultural landmarks can strengthen their defenses against fraud. For Elvis Presley Enterprises, this scandal has underscored the importance of preserving Graceland not only as a tourist attraction, but also as a symbol of cultural heritage. The estate's role as a cultural icon goes beyond its physical presence. It represents a connection to music history and the legacy of a global superstar. This realization has renewed the organization's commitment to ensuring that Graceland remains a safe, authentic, and unassailable destination for fans worldwide. The estate's management has turned this troubling episode into an opportunity to fortify protection, ensuring that the King's legacy endures for generations. Fans can continue to visit and celebrate Elvis's story, secure in the knowledge that steps are being taken to safeguard this historic treasure. Some people will go to great lengths to take advantage of history for their own benefit, as shown by the FBI's inquiry into the proposed sale of Graceland. Graceland and other cultural icons like it have stood the test of time and continue to move people all around the globe. One thing is becoming crystal evident as the legal processes progress and additional safeguards are implemented. Graceland's legacy will remain. Let us make sure that the legacies of legends like Elvis Presley are preserved for future generations. Help spread the word, subscribe for more updates, and let's continue to celebrate the legacy of the King.